Dear Sagittarius, last night, while the world fell asleep in its usual quiet stillness, something deep stirred in the invisible realm. It wasn't just a feeling. It was a vibration so powerful that I had to stop, light a candle, pick up the cards, and listen. It felt like an ancient presence, calling your name, Sagittarius, with such intensity that even the air around me seemed to hold its breath. And if you're hearing this right now, please know, this is not a coincidence. If these words are stirring something inside you, leave a sign in the comments, a confirmation to the universe that you are ready, because what's coming next is not just a message. It's a turning point for your soul. Beloved Sagittarius, there are prayers that are never spoken aloud, yet they echo the farthest in the unseen world. And there are desires you've never dared to speak, but the universe has already heard them. Not through language, not through ritual, but through the silent tremor of your soul. I know this because when I touched your energy, what I felt wasn't chaos. It was a deep waiting, like a flame that hasn't been named yet, but has always been ready to ignite if someone brave enough dared to light it. And someone has. Someone has prayed for you. Not with elaborate words, but with a love deep enough to bend time. A plea sent upward with such power that even the sky paused to listen. They prayed for your protection. They prayed that you would be seen, not by the world, but by the Creator himself. And they prayed that the weight of financial struggle would no longer hold back your wandering feet. Because, Sagittarius, you were not born to survive and worry. You were born to move, to explore, to learn, and to lead. And I believe this with my whole soul. When someone prays for you from the purest place in their heart, movement happens. No proof needed, no logic required, just faith. Have you felt it lately? That stirring inside? Not quite anxiety. Not excitement either. Just an unfamiliar beat. A silence that lasts longer than it used to. That is the response approaching. That is the universe answering. Not with words, but with change. A sign will come. It could be a glance, a sudden phone call, a letter, or just a quiet coincidence that makes you stop and say, this can't be random. And you'll know, the moment has arrived, the key has turned. A door you thought was closed forever is slowly cracking open. And if your heart is already trembling at these words, leave a confirmation. It doesn't have to be long, just honest, just enough for you to tell yourself, I am ready for the sacred that's coming toward me. Because sometimes, what makes destiny pause and shift is simply a soul brave enough to claim what they deserve. But even before the light of that prayer has fully settled, I saw something else. A shadow that needed to be named so that you can be truly free. I know, this will be hard to hear, but it may be the most important part. There is someone who is no longer an ally. They haven't said anything, they haven't acted outwardly, but you felt it, haven't you? The way they avoid eye contact when you share a small success. The silence when you needed their support. The way they celebrate you with a smile that doesn't shine. I've been there. And I once thought I was just being too sensitive. But the truth is, your intuition never lies. You once welcomed them with open arms, protected them from pain, lifted them up, even when you were the one left behind. But when it was your turn to need a shoulder, you found only emptiness. And you know what? That doesn't make you weak. It means you're stronger than you think. Because you loved without demand. You gave without expecting. You believed, purely, innocently. And in a world full of calculation, that kind of heart is sacred. Because you loved without demanding anything in return. You gave without expecting repayment. You believed purely, wholeheartedly. And in a world built on calculation, that kind of heart is sacred. But precisely because of that, you deserve to be protected. Not from enemies, but from those who pretend to be friends. That person, I can feel their energy clearly. A woman, with a sweet smile, a caring gaze, but behind it, silent comparisons and whispered judgments you'll never hear. And why? Because your light makes it impossible for her to keep pretending. Because you live authentically. Because you dare to change. Because you refuse to stay in the small box others want you to remain in. And light, Sagittarius, light always unsettles the darkness. I'm not telling you this to make you angry. I'm telling you to help you awaken. To remind you, you don't have to hold on to anyone who no longer holds space for your soul to grow. Pause for a moment. Reflect. Has someone recently drifted away without reason? Someone once close, now leaves you feeling drained after every conversation? Don't rush to name them. Let your heart speak first. And if someone comes to mind, write it down or whisper it to the universe. I no longer make space in my life for the inauthentic. I choose truth, even if it means losing someone. You don't need many people. You need the right ones. And one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned is this: not everyone who stood by you in weakness will celebrate you when you become strong again. And do you want to know something beautiful? When you dare to release what no longer belongs to you, you create room for what's truly sacred to arrive. A new connection is drawing near. Someone who will see you without asking you to shrink. But to meet them, you must remove what's been clouding your eyes from the truth. Don't go just yet. The next part will reveal truths your heart has always known, but your soul is only now ready to hear. There are things we never say aloud, and yet they still exist. Like glances that never meet again, but in some quiet moment, somewhere, two souls are still looking toward each other in memory. And Sagittarius, I need to tell you this. Someone from your past is still thinking about you. Not through words, not through social media, but through dreams. They think of you when they're alone. They remember you when their world quiets down. They hear a song from the past, and suddenly your face rises like a memory that refuses to fade. You may have moved on. You may not think of them every day anymore. But there are connections that don't need to be sustained to still exist. Because some souls have touched each other so deeply that neither time, nor distance, nor silence can truly make them disappear. And I believe what makes that bond eternal is not shared memories, but unspoken emotion. Part of you might still wonder, did they ever think of me? Did I leave something behind in them that lasted? And today, I'm here to tell you, yes, not just one person, but two. The first is someone you once saw as everything, the one who made your heart beat off rhythm and also shattered it until you couldn't breathe. They've never said it out loud, but they remember you. They remember the way you listened, the way you trusted, the way you gave your heart without holding anything back for yourself. But they cannot return, not because they don't want to, but because they know you are no longer where you once waited for them. You have changed, you've grown stronger, you've become a version of yourself that they no longer know how to reach. And even if they feel regret, it's not for you to return. It's for you to realize what you gave truly mattered, and it left its mark. The second person is someone you wouldn't expect. They've been watching you from afar, not interfering, not disturbing, but carrying something unspoken, an apology. Maybe you don't even need that apology anymore, but the part of your soul they once wounded has been quietly waiting for acknowledgement. And the truth is, you don't need them to heal. You only need yourself, and the quiet acceptance that not everyone knows how to hold something sacred when it's placed in their hands. If this part feels like it's speaking directly to your heart, pause for just a breath and leave a whisper in the comments. I forgive what cannot return. I open my heart to what is meant to find me. Because sometimes it's in the letting go that the most beautiful things finally find their way in. This next part is not something everyone is ready to hear. But I believe if you Sagittarius are still here in this moment, then your soul has been preparing for this for a very long time. Destiny is shifting. The energy around you is moving, even if everything on the surface seems still. You feel like you can't sit still anymore, like something is waiting for you, but you can't name it yet. You feel suffocated in places that once felt safe. That is the sign. That's how the universe begins to push you out of the cocoon that has finished its purpose. We cannot bloom in soil that has gone dry. And true growth doesn't always happen when you have everything. Sometimes it begins when you dare to release what once saved you, but now keeps you stuck. Sagittarius, you were never meant to be held down. You are the sign of the journey, of the ever-widening horizon. And the worst thing for a soul like yours is to become stagnant in the name of stability. Have you felt like you're standing still lately? Like the job that once excited you now feels like obligation? Like the relationship that once made you laugh now leaves you quietly retreating inside? I used to think it was my fault, that I was ungrateful, too restless, not good enough. But then I realized Dissatisfaction isn't always selfish. Sometimes it's your soul calling you to step into a bigger space where you can finally grow. If these words are stirring something deep within, I invite you to write an affirmation in your journal or in the comments as a sacred act of alignment. I am ready to step out of my comfort zone to meet the higher version of myself. Because what's coming can't be found where you are now. An invitation will arrive, as sudden as light breaking through the dark. It may be a message from someone you forgot, a glance that makes your heart skip without reason, or a coincidence your soul instantly recognizes as this is the moment. But you will have to choose, to walk away, to say no to what no longer fits, to trust your intuition more than your fear. You may have to leave behind something that feels safe, but in return, you will receive something that makes you feel truly alive. Transformation doesn't come through comfort, it comes in sharp, unexpected turns. And only when you say enough, I can't hold back anymore, will the new door begin to open. If this part leaves you feeling unsettled, even a little afraid, don't turn away just yet, because in the next chapter, I'll speak of someone who will shift the way you see everything, someone whose presence will feel like truth, an arrival like destiny. And Sagittarius, I know you've been through this. You've walked with a smile on your face while your eyes remained hollow. You've been the source of comfort for others, yet no one knew how many times you cried alone, in silence. There are pains that don't scream. They burn quietly, like a slow blister under the skin. Touch them, they sting, but no one sees the wound. And the cruelest part is, you couldn't speak about it, because you were afraid of being seen as weak, because you were used to being the strong one. But what's the truth? Courage isn't the absence of feeling. Courage is allowing yourself to feel everything, and still choosing to get up each morning and keep going. Awakening doesn't always arrive with brilliant light. Sometimes it begins the moment you fall to your knees and whisper to yourself, I can't carry this anymore. That's the moment your soul starts reclaiming its voice. That's when the illusions begin to crack. Friendships fracture, old dreams fall away, plans that once gave you purpose begin to dissolve. And even though it hurts, this pain is the pain of new birth. It's not destroying you, it's rebuilding you. You're not falling apart, you're shedding what no longer belongs to you. If you're in that place right now, please, stay with me a little longer. Don't walk away just yet. Because what you're going through is not the end. It's a change of season. And the souls chosen to go further must always pass through the barren places alone before they arrive at the promised land. If this part feels like it's speaking your unspoken truth, leave a simple affirmation in the comments. I am not breaking, I am being reborn. Because it is through the cracks that the light can finally enter. And after each time we shed an old self, we are faced with one of the greatest lessons of all, the lesson of discernment. Discernment is not selfishness. Discernment is knowing the value of the energy you carry. It's understanding that not everyone deserves to walk the next part of your path with you just because they once walked beside you. Sagittarius, I know your heart is wide open. You are forgiving, you are idealistic, you always believe people can change. And you're right, people can change. But not everyone chooses to. And you cannot put your life on hold, waiting for someone to meet you where you are now. I used to keep people around just because they'd once been good to me. I let others step over my emotional boundaries just because I understood their pain. But eventually I learned this. Understanding doesn't always mean accepting. Loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing yourself forever. You have the right to choose again. You have the right to say, thank you for everything, but I can't continue this relationship because I'm changing. And that is not abandonment. That is mutual respect. Have you felt your energy being drained lately after spending time with certain people? Some conversations leave you feeling light, like your spirit could exhale again. But some people, even when they say nothing negative, leave you tired. That is a sign. It's the quiet nudge that tells you it's time to start choosing more carefully. Ask yourself, who makes me feel free in their presence? Who makes me shrink myself just to keep them comfortable? Who can I sit in silence with and still feel completely safe? Discernment isn't just about others. Sometimes it's about yourself. It's about choosing to leave behind the version of you who always had to perform, who always had to prove, who always had to carry the weight of being enough. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You already are enough, just by being you. If you're entering the stage of choosing again, don't feel guilty. You're not cold. You're not heartless. You're honest. And that is sacred. So if this speaks to where you are in your journey, mark this moment with a sacred promise. Write it in the comments as a declaration. I choose what makes my soul feel light. I release what makes my heart feel heavy. And remember this, the more you choose the right people, the closer you get to the truest version of yourself. The next chapter will speak of someone special who's about to enter your life. A person you may only meet when you dare to choose light over compromise. Are you ready to meet them? Because at some point on this path, you must make one thing very clear. A decision. Not just with words, not just with emotions, but with action, with commitment, with your full presence. No one can walk this path for you. No one can heal for you if you keep holding your wound like a badge of honor. And Sagittarius, after everything you've been through, you don't need another sign. You are the sign. Your very existence, after all the seasons you've survived, is proof that you are strong enough. Now is the time to say to the universe, to your soul, to your past, and to your future, I am ready. No more when I'm better. No more when they change. No more when everything feels safe. Because the truth is, you will never feel fully ready for something great until you decide to commit to it first. Close your eyes for a moment. Place your hand over your heart. Take a deep breath. And if this has touched something inside you, I invite you now to whisper, to say it out loud, or to write down the following commitments, as if each one were a key unlocking the door between you and your destiny. I commit to releasing what no longer belongs to me, even if it once saved me. I commit to choosing self-love over the need to be accepted. I commit to living authentically, even if it means being left behind. I commit to moving forward without the weight that has exhausted my soul. I commit to opening my heart to the good things I once believed I didn't deserve. I commit to receiving. No more doubt, no more delay, no more shrinking. This isn't a sacred ritual in a temple. This is a personal vow between you and the strongest version of yourself waiting for you on the other side of fear. And if you need a place to make that vow real, write it in the comments. I, Sagittarius, commit to living in the light I was born to carry. Or simply, I am ready to receive. Because every time you say it, you strengthen a new energetic layer within you. And the universe will respond, not with words, but with opportunity, with new people, with doors you thought were forever shut, creaking slowly open. But those doors only open when you walk toward them. And you're already so close. There's just one thing left to do. Believe that you are worthy of walking through. And now, as we reach the end of this sacred journey, I invite you to pause. Not to look back, but to place your hand on your chest once more and look forward with the eyes of someone who has survived and is finally ready to live fully. Sagittarius, you've been through so much. You gave without counting the cost. You believed, even when the world gave you every reason to doubt. You stood up from places where others thought you'd never rise again. And today, you're here. Not to be pitied, not to beg life to be kind, but to declare to the world and to yourself, I am ready for the goodness that no longer requires pain as its price. The old doors, the ones you once had to push open with effort, where you silenced yourself just to keep the peace, where you shrank just to be loved, they must close now, not out of bitterness, but because you've grown. You no longer seek love from emptiness. You no longer define your worth by how others see you. And you no longer cling to the things that make you forget who you are. You are Sagittarius, the beacon of honest light, the eternal traveler of soul and sky. You are the wandering flame, the seeker who carries the sacred question, refusing to live just to survive, but to awaken. You walk a great path, one no one else may fully understand, except your soul itself. And you know something? No one can close the old door for you if you keep holding the key in your hand. Let it go. Let go of the resentment. Let go of the need to control everything. Let go of the belief that I don't deserve something good to last. Because what is truly yours will never need to be chased. It will stay, it will bloom, and this time, it won't leave. If your heart is trembling just a little right now, let me invite you to do something gentle, but deeply powerful. Leave a sacred commitment in the comments. I, Sagittarius, close the old with gratitude and open to the new with a wide, willing heart. Or if you're not ready to name it yet, just leave a symbol, a quiet sign that you are ready to receive what is meant for you. And if you know someone who's also walking this path, share this video with them. Because sometimes, just one message at the right moment can awaken an entire soul. If you'd like to keep walking these deeper journeys with me, subscribe and turn on the bell so that when the universe sends its next sign, you'll be ready to catch it. And always remember this: the most beautiful thing hasn't arrived yet, but it's on its way. And this time, you won't miss it.